What's going on, everybody? It's Jullien Gordon here, aka Mr. Multifamily, and author of Rich and Righteous: Spiritual Secrets to Mastering Money, Manifestation, and Your Mind. We are continuing our journey to read Rich and Righteous. It's a thick book, right? But Spirit moved me a couple weeks ago and said, you know what, Jullien, read it out loud. The collective consciousness is shifting into this mindset of scarcity using this language of recession, and it's time for you to read your book and spread this message. I released this book about 2 years ago at the beginning of COVID. And the reason why I wrote it at the beginning of COVID, or that it was divinely downloaded through me, to me and through me, is because I had started my company January 9th, 2009, at the bottom of the last economic recession. And so I knew what it meant to be able to navigate what the collective consciousness was calling recession and still have abundance. And so I'm sharing all of those spiritual downloads, divine downloads, and the money mindset that I had that allowed me to grow a really significant sized company that is having huge impact in the world, despite what the external economic environment was saying was going to occur. So here we are right now in a similar situation. And I want to make sure that you are able to navigate this and not let the collective consciousness and what the collective consciousness is experiencing or saying you should experience dictate your actual experience here on earth. And so we have been reading every morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, about 3 to 4 pages a day. This book in total is 405 pages. So we're going to be together all the way probably through like March as we read this. And so go ahead and set a phone alarm so that you can be here when you're available, whether you're commuting, whether this is just your morning ritual, to stay in a mindset of abundance. And yeah, so happy to have you here. And we are continuing our reading today. We are in the section called Abundance is Your Birthright. We started that section on Friday. This week, our itinerary is as follows. So today is abundance is your birthright. Tuesday is being poor is sin, but poverty is not. Those are two different things. Being poor and poverty are two different things. Okay. We're going to break that chapter into 2 days. So that'll take us through Wednesday. Then we're going to go into the real reason you aren't wealthy yet on Thursday. And then Friday, we'll go over mental wealth versus spiritual wealth. And how those two things are measured and how we need to change our metric system in terms of how we actually measure wealth. We define wealth using the acronym WEALTH last week. So if you missed that, go back and look at that so that you truly understand what wealth is really all about. And so, yeah, we're going to continue. For those of you who do not have the book, you can go to moneyandmanifestation.com. You can go to moneyandmanifestation.com, and you can get the book at Get the Book. I pinned it on Instagram, but you can go get the book at moneyandmanifestation.com. When you purchase the book, it is $100. I'm going to let you know that right now. You just making this purchase is an act of abundance, right? You making this purchase alone is an act of abundance, but you have to ask yourself, what's more valuable? This $100 bookmark, I'm using it as a bookmark, or the wealth consciousness that will bring hundreds of dollars into your life? That's really the question you have to ask yourself. What's more valuable, this $100 or the wealth consciousness that will bring hundreds of dollars into your life and into your experience? So it's a pretty straightforward answer. But if you are in poverty consciousness or scarcity mindset, you think that this flat cotton is worth more than the knowledge and wisdom that is in this book. And so that's likely what's going to keep you in scarcity consciousness. And so listen, y'all. So when you buy the book, you get 5 copies. One is for you, okay? The other 4 are meant to for you to give away, right? Because you stimulate your personal economy by giving. So one is for you, the other 4 for you to give away, and that will stimulate your personal economy, because as you give, so shall you receive. So you're giving away wealth consciousness to other people, right? So that's why it's set up that way. People say, Jullien, why can't I just buy one? Because this act alone is a way to stimulate your personal economy. If you just buy one book, you're buying it for you. Okay. But if you really want to get to wealth, you have to learn how to serve and give to other people and also receive from other people. We talked about your blessing model, right? Which is how you give, and your business model. So this act alone, I strategically packaged it this way for a reason, for a divine reason. And you've never probably experienced that before. And so this is why it's confusing to some people, but you have to trust that this alone is an act of abundance. You buying this book alone is an act of abundance. And so if you're trying to shift out of your poverty mindset or in scarcity mindset, then this is how I initiate that before you even read the book. Before you've even read the book, I'm already shifting you into an abundance mindset. Is that clear, everybody? Is that clear? I know that sounds different. Jullien, I just want one book. No, that's not how this operates. Because that one book, again, is just for you. Okay. By giving you 4 additional, now you are actually automatically in service to others. Right. So here we go. We are on page 37 of the Abundance is Your Birthright section. We're on page 37 for those of you who haven't and are following along. And we're going to go into it. So listen, if you are in real poverty consciousness right now, you're like, Jullien, I really don't have it. You know you're lying to me, because if I look at your bank statement, I could go find it right now. You probably blew that this weekend. Okay, you probably blew it this weekend. I can go look at your Target receipt right now. You didn't need that, or that. So you lying first and foremost. Okay, but if you really are struggling right now and you know you need this, then when you see somebody in chat say, I bought a book, you know what you should do? You should ask, because you know they're going to get 5, right? So you DM them, you message them, ask and ye shall receive. Some of you are in lack right now because you simply don't ask. You just give up and think that the only way for you to get what you want is to go work hard for it. That has not been my experience of how I create wealth. It is not working hard. It is not trading time for money. So if you're really in poverty consciousness or scarcity consciousness, then when you see somebody say, I bought the book, write down their IG name or their YouTube name and then message them and say, hey, I'm struggling right now. In fact, we don't want to affirm that. We do not want to affirm that. Hey, I need a jump start, just like a car needs a jump start. I need a jump start right now. And I saw that you bought the book. I saw that you got 5 of them. Would you mind sending me a copy when you receive yours? I'll pay for the shipping. If you like, I'm so broke, I won't even pay for the shipping. I won't even cash app you for shipping. Then you're stuck in poverty consciousness. Okay. Are y'all seeing how you can just use your mind to create new possibilities? Rather than giving up and staying where you are, because that's what giving up means. It means staying where you are. There are all kinds of ways to still tap in and to get what you want without trading time for money for it. So I need you to start using your mind to get to the money, not just your body. All right? Okay? Y'all ready? All right, cool. Look at the chat. People are saying, I'm ordering another set. Holler at me. People are saying, DM me. There's no reason that everybody here should not have a book in their hand by Christmas. People are offering. They're like, look, I have abundance. I have 5. I can't read 5 at the same time. I don't need 5 at the same time. I'm ready to give. We start creating this economy of giving and receiving. And guess what? That circulation speeds up. And this is how wealth multiplies in a community. We see it in the Jewish community. You know what I'm talking about. The Jewish, the kind of like Jews community. We see them circulating the dollar faster and more frequently. And that dollar never leaves their community. In the Black community, that dollar leaves within a few hours, right? So we stop circulating. Instead of circulating this, we're circulating wealth consciousness, which actually multiplies and makes it easier to obtain this. So there are no excuses, family. There are no excuses, right? Okay. So we're on page 37 right now. We're saying, so Javon, you saying I need a jump start. Okay. Listen to the energy of that, Javon. Javon, I need a jump start. That's like, help me. No, Javon, stand in your power rather than waiting for somebody to come save you and say, hey, Javon, I got a book for you. Javon, you say, hey, I see that you bought the book. I am humbly asking you if you would be okay with sending me a copy. I'll cash app you $5 for shipping. We got to get out of this victim consciousness. Hey, help me. I'm struggling. That vibration, that energy is an energy of lack, and it repels abundance. It is okay to ask. When you actually ask, you are in a state of abundance because you know that the answer is out there. Asking says that I may not have the resource within my own possession right now, but within my network and my community, I know it is there. That when you ask from that place, that is a state of abundance right then and right there. So that is perfectly alignment with the chapter that we're reading today. Is this making sense? Is this making sense? You see the energetic change with help me, I'm struggling, somebody send me a book, right? You see the energy change with no, hey, I saw that you bought a book. I saw that you bought a set of 5. Would you be okay with sending me one? You see the energy change there, y'all? I just need to know if you notice the energy change. And both are trying to get the same thing, but they're coming from two different places. Did y'all understand that? I'm showing you right now, real time in the moment. Okay. Anyway, got into the reading, y'all. All right, let's get into this reading. I don't want to keep y'all too long this morning. All right. So we're on page 37 of Abundance is Your Birthright section. All right. Exodus 20:1-3 reads, and God spoke all these words. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. Real quick, I just need to say that the way you see that Egypt is demonized, and you know that Egypt is populated and was populated by Black people, but this text, the Bible, demonizes Egypt. And the reason it's demonized in Egypt is because the people who have manipulated the text demonize the place where they stole the information from. That's how you get away with something. You demonize the place that you stole the information from to uplift yourself. So if Egypt is so bad, why did Jesus go to Egypt when he was young? Why was Moses in Egypt? Why did Joseph go to Egypt? If Egypt was so bad, if Egypt is this place of slavery, right? So it is the people who have manipulated the Bible who have demonized Egypt and made it this bad thing. But no, Egypt is a place of abundance. And if you look at the Christian religion, you will see how much of it is plagiarized from Ma'at and the Egyptian spiritual system. All right. So be careful. I need you to think and read these texts critically. Sometimes when we hear God attached to something, we just lose all logic. We lose all logic when people attach God to something. I need you to think about this critically. There were no white people of Semitic white people ever enslaved in Egypt. There's no historical evidence of that ever, ever, ever. There were the Hyksos, right? But the Hyksos invaded Egypt. They were not enslaved in Egypt. They invaded Egypt, and they ruled Egypt for over 100 years until they were ran out. But that's not the story or the history. That's actually historical evidence of that. There's no historical evidence of some white group of Jews or Hebrews being enslaved in Egypt. None whatsoever. Okay? So I just need you to think critically. Okay? So Exodus 21-3, and God spoke all these words. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. You shall not have no other gods before me. Okay? So if God is I am that I am, and we should put no other gods before it, then anytime we use I am a child of God should come first. If God is I am that I am, and we should put no other gods before it, then anytime we use I am a child of God should come first. This is the first of the 10 commandments because it is the most important. Your awareness that you are a child of God is the most important identity to accept. Every other label, listen to me very carefully, every other label you add to your identity limits you, whether it be race, religion, age, education, gender, sexuality, social class, or nationality. Every other label you add to your identity after I am limits you. This is why God says, I am that I am. There is no limitation to that. It is circular. I am that I am that I am that I am. I'm it all. I'm the Alpha and the Omega. You know that the moment you say I'm a man or I am a woman, you limited yourself. The moment you say I am Black, you've limited yourself. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. These are just earthly identifiers that we choose to use to try to discover who we are, but that's not who we truly are. You don't have an address here on earth. You're not from here. This is not your real address. So when you start to recognize yourself as a spiritual being, then you too are also I am that I am. And we think that we're finding our crew. We think that we Joining a club, when we say, oh, I am this, I'm educated, I got this kind of job, I'm in this social class, you think you're joining a crew. Every time you do that, you're limiting yourself. And then when you stack those identities on top of each other, you've even limited yourself even more. Because all of those have expectations and possibilities that come with them that limit you. I'm Black and it allows me to do this, but it also restricts me from doing this. I'm a man, that allows me to do this, but it also restricts me from doing this. You're actually restricting yourself every time you put language after I am. This is why God says, I am that I am, period. No limiters, no identifiers after that. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. You are infinite possibility in the flesh. That is really our only limitation here on earth, is the flesh and time. The body and time are all our only limits, except for the additional limits that we add on to ourselves, like race, religion, age, education, gender, sexuality, social class, or nationality. I'll give you an example. You say, oh, I can't start that business, I'm only 10 years old. But wait a second. There's some 10-year-olds with $1 million businesses. So if you use age as a limiter, or I can't start that business, I'm 6 years old now. It's too late. You're using age as something to limit the possibilities that you have. And so I'm not saying it's, I'm not saying you shouldn't have your social groups, right, that you connect with. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if the highest identity that you have is child of God, period. Nothing trumps that. That is higher than any religion that you have. Child of God is the identifier or identity that applies to all of us universally, regardless of religion, regardless of age, regardless of race, education, gender, sexuality, social class, or nationality. That is the universal identifier. Everything else falls below that. But some of us actually put identifiers above that. So I'll give you an example. All of those identities that you have, there is a sequence of prioritization in your head about them. So, for instance, somebody may say that they are a male Christian, male Christian Democrat. Okay, they might say that they're a male Christian Democrat. Their gender is their highest identity. They prioritize it highest. Then their religion is their second prioritization, and then their political class or party is the third. But watch this. Another person could say, I'm a Democratic Christian male. They literally switch it. And guess what? Based on the sequence of those identities, those two people are going to have two completely different experiences of life. Did y'all catch that? Each one of your identities trumps one or the next one. Okay? And so the way that you sequence them in your head, in your mental model, actually is shaping the experience that you are having here on earth. Did you catch that? So again, somebody who says, I'm a male Christian Democrat is going to have a different experience than somebody who says, I'm a Democratic Christian male. You say, oh, Jullien, that's insignificant. The order is insignificant. Okay, test it out. Test it out. All I'm asking you to do is test it out. As human beings, we take on many identities and labels, and there is a hierarchy of importance. All labels or identities are not created equal. Race, religion, age, education, gender, sexuality, social class, nationality, and other classifications may be part of your identity, but they can never account for all of who you are. Who you are never changes. It is permanent and eternal. Who you are never changes. Okay? It is permanent and eternal. And the only identity that will never change is child of God. No matter what you do, all the other identities can switch up on you. We see people changing gender all the time now, okay? So even gender can change. But the one identity that will never change is child of God. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter what you have, no matter what you don't have, the one identity that will never change is child of God. And they wanted you to forget that. This is why they want you or need you to believe that you're a sinner and that Jesus is the only child of God. This is what they try to get you to believe. So then they can alter all your other identities. They can shape what a black man looks like in America, right? And then if that's the anchor of your identity and somebody else is shaping that perception, then you're in trouble. But the one identity that is unchangeable is that you are a child of God. You are not a foster youth. You are not a bastard. If that's the only son of God, if that's the only begotten son of God, then where the heck did I come from? If that's the only begotten son of God, where the heck did I come from? Somebody please tell me. Where are my parents at? Where's my spiritual parents at? Makes no sense, yo. All right. So, as permanent as the biological things may seem, even they can be changed today, and they are all temporary because life and body are temporary. Because this life and body are temporary. Who were you before you came into this body? Have you ever asked that question? Who were you before you came into this body? Okay. I am is present tense. I am is present tense right now in your midst. That's who you are. I am who you are in this moment. It is not attached to identities in the same way Legos are not attached to being a castle. It is not attached to identities in the same way that Legos are not attached to being a castle, because I am can be anything depending on what you choose to add after it in the moment. You can choose to be happy right now. That could be your identity. You can choose to be sad right now. You can choose to be a leader right now. You could choose to be a follower. You are choosing your identity every single moment. Just because you buy some Legos and it has a castle in the box, those Legos are not attached to being a castle. We can buy the Legos in the castle box, but then we can decide to create something else with them. That is what this spiritual substance allows us to do. It allows us to shape it into anything that we desire. You are creating yourself, co-creating yourself in this moment with whatever you identify with. If you want to identify with poverty, then that will be your experience. If you want to identify with wealth and abundance, that will be your experience. All of our identities have prioritization, and the lower identities get sacrificed on the altar of our daily decisions. That was a divine download, y'all. All of our identities have prioritization. And you see, you in the Bible, you hear about them sacrificing animals. Why would God create animals and then have human beings, its other creations, sacrifice them to show God that the human beings are in alignment and obedient? Make that make sense. Why would God have you sacrifice another one of its innocent creations to prove to it that you are obedient? Just stop right there. Just think about that for a second. Just think about that for a second. Why? I'm supposed to sacrifice this lamb? I'm supposed to sacrifice this ram? You want me to gut this bird to show you that I'm obedient to you, this innocent bird? It's allegory, family. You know what you're doing? You're sacrificing your animalistic beliefs, your fleshly beliefs. That's what the animals represent. You are sacrificing your fleshly, animalistic beliefs that are given to you by this body consciousness. You're not sacrificing animals. God doesn't create animals to be sacrificed. It is allegory for you as man in body, as spirit in body, which then makes you son of man, sacrificing the animalistic parts of yourself. What did Noah have to do? Noah had to bring the animals, is his animalistic thoughts, into the ark, which is his consciousness or mind, right? Into the darkness, had to come and subdue all the animals. Adam was supposed to have what? Dominion over the animal or animalistic parts of himself. We're not out here sacrificing animals. That's a misunderstanding. That's taking the scripture literally. Okay? So all of our identities have prioritization, and the lower identities get sacrificed on the altar of our daily decisions. So listen to this. A good kid may drink alcohol, even though he doesn't like it to fit in with the cool kids. So being cool trumped being a good kid at the moment. I'm going to repeat that. A good kid, somebody who identifies, I'm a good kid. may drink alcohol even though he doesn't like it to fit in with the cool kids. So being cool in that moment trumped being a good kid. You see how our identities, our lower and higher identities, they sacrifice each other? He sacrificed his identity of being a good kid to fit in with the cool kids in that moment because he wanted to be cool rather than good. And we do that every single day. Every single day we are going to the altar. But again, the one identity that never changes is what? Is what? Child of God. And a successful businesswoman may donate free goods because her identity as someone who is giving is more important to her than her identity based on financial success. Okay. So a successful businesswoman may donate free goods because her identity as someone who is giving is more important to her than her identity based on financial success. All right. Our identities determine our decision making. I'm not just a real estate developer. I'm a God first, lowercase g. And if you think that's blasphemy, go read John 10:34. Is it not written in your law? I have said ye are gods. That's a quote from Jesus. So you want to quote all these other things from Jesus, but then when Jesus says you are God, oh, he didn't say that. That's not what he really meant. It's pretty straightforward. Ye are gods. That's not even something to decode. Ye are gods. It's plain and simple. It's right there. John 10:34. They'll read you John 3:6. They'll John 3:16 you to death, but they won't John 10:34 you to life. They'll John 3:16 you to death, but they will not John 10:34 you to life. That's an original quote that just came in this moment. How many times you heard John 10:34 at church? How many times you heard John 10:34 at church? Y'all can't hear me on IG? Uh-oh, I had a phone call come in. Can't hear me. All right, IG, I'm gonna have to start over and come back. I had a phone call come in. All right, IG, dang. I have to start over. Dang. Sorry about this. I had a phone call come in on IG, and while I'm getting reset up on IG, get these people back in here. Go ahead and if you haven't got the book, go get it. If you saw somebody say that they ordered it, then message them to get a copy. I'm getting us reset up back on IG. I had a phone call come in and it took out the sound on IG. I don't know why. I denied the call. Apology. I was in my flow, y'all. All right, IG, y'all coming back? I had a phone call come in and it took everything out, family. So we back. If you know how to turn phone calls off when you are on live, please let me know. All right, so we good? We good? So the bar that y'all missed is that they'll John 3:16 you to death in church, but they won't John 10:34 you to life. They will John 3:16 you to death in church, but they will never John 10:34 you to life. For all my IG folks that are coming back, how many times you heard John 10:34 read in church? How many times you heard John 10:34 read in church? 0. 0. Why is that? It's a quote from Jesus, right? Why won't they read that to you? They only read you the scriptures that are in favor with their agenda. This is why I challenge all of you. If you truly believe in the Bible, then I need you to all read it for yourself. Stop going to church until you read it for yourself. That's my challenge to all you. Stop going to church until you read it for yourself. Study to show thyself approved. Stop waiting for your minister to give you their cliff notes. that push their agenda. Stop going to church until you read the Bible for yourself. The temple is not a building. The temple is up here. You base your entire life off of a book that you've never read. You base your entire life off of a book that you've never read, that you've only cherry-picked scriptures from. I've read it through and through. This is why I know the truth. Okay? So, I am a God first who chooses to be a real estate. Okay. So, our identities determine our decision making. I'm not just a real estate developer, an educator, an investor. I am a God first who chooses to be a real estate developer. Does this make sense? Some of us are so defined by our careers. Oh, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm this. Nope. I'm a child of God that is choosing to do this as my heavenly work, as my spiritual work. Okay? Is everybody clear about that? Stop saying I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a nurse, I'm a pilot. Stop defining yourself based on your career. You are a child of God first, who chooses to do God's will through this particular profession. You have to know the sequence. Knowing the sequence is important. Okay? I'm a child of God first, Black or an African in America second, and a man third. Those are my top 3 identities. If I had a twin brother, though he looks identical to me, he may identify as an artist first, vegetarian second, and Black third. As a result, we would have different life experiences internally and externally, though we physically look the same. So are you understanding how identity shapes your experience? So financial literacy is all focused on giving you more information. Financial spirituality is focused on changing your identity. Once we change our identity, then we can go find the information that helps us stand in our identity as a child of God, right? But financial literacy is just pushing information without shifting your identity. We change identity first. That's what financial spirituality is focused on. I want you to know who you are in God and as a God. Labels limit us. When I say I am a man, I disregard the divine feminine inside of me. I manifested as a man, but my mother is in me, for I was in her. Many men limit their power because they neglect the power of the divine feminine inside of them. They want to act all macho and stuff like that, and they're denying their mother that is actually in them. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that woman. Okay, so sometimes the pendulum is too far to the right. I'm hyper masculine over here, and then sometimes the pendulum for a woman may be too far over here. I'm hyper feminine. We're gonna find all of our balances along this spectrum. It's not in the extremes, family. Heaven on earth is not in the extremes, because when you're in the extreme, you're denying the other that you are. The only identity that keeps you limitless is child of God or God, lowercase g. We can have several identities of our choosing, but we shall put no other identity before the fact that ye are God's. John 10:34. Read Exodus 23 as if the God in you is speaking to the lower level you, not as if some God in the sky is speaking down to you. Watch this. I need everybody to repeat after me. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Read Exodus 23 in first person. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Listen to it. Some of y'all ain't got it yet. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Some of you have made money your God. Why? Because they put in God we trust. Some of you made your job your God, your boss your God, your husband your God, your wife your God. She could be your goddess, but she's not your God. Nothing outside of you is your God, family. Some of you made your kids your God. They rule you. And while something else outside of you is ruling you, you end up losing yourself. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. In other words, I shall put no other gods before me, myself, and I. Who is God? I am. Who is God? The scripture says, I am. Who is responsible for my life? I am. Try reading in the first person. I am. Your last name is God. I am more of a God than I am a Gordon. I am more of a God than I am a Gordon. This is not blasphemy. This is the truth. Gordon is my earthly father's last name. Okay? Yeah, that's my earthly father's last name. That name will last me for this temporary human experience in the body. That's all the Gordon name will last me for. Okay? But my true nature as a God is eternal. Even when this body erodes and is done, it is useless. Guess what? I return to my family as a God, where God is my last name. God is your last name too. Where do you come from? What is your true source? My mom and dad did not know how to create me. They did not know how to create me. I'll just put this thing in here and then wait a couple months, let it cook, and then no. I came through them, but not from them. Something beyond my earthly parents made me and you. Many people wear other people's last names in today's consumer culture. Yep, I'm coming at you, all you designer brand folks. Here we go. Many people wear other people's names in today's culture. They wear Gucci, Nike, YSL, and Prada, but they don't have any ownership in those companies or any relationship to those families. That's why I don't wear much clothing with brands and logos. In fact, I will pay more for nice clothing with no logos because I know that is not my last name. Why are you out here walking around with other people's last names? You part of their family now? How much stock you own in the company? Why are you rocking other people's last names so hard to try to elevate your last name? You wearing other people's last names to try to elevate your last name. It's all false perception, and you know it. In the beginning was the word, John 1:1, which in Greek translates to logos. You realize that the word translates to logos in Greek? And here you are wearing logos on your clothes? And God is the only word that was in the beginning from which I come. I don't wear anyone else's last name because I am cut from a different cloth. I'm cut from a cloth that is eternal, and so are you. There's nothing wrong with wearing designer labels as long as you know who the divine designer is. There is nothing wrong with wearing designer labels as long as you know who the divine designer is. Last 2 pages. My last name is God, and so is yours. Knowing you are a God is the greatest awareness of all. That name is more significant than any other brand you can put on yourself, whether it is American, Republican, Christian, Nike, or feminist. We are all children of God, so we all share a last name. When we let go of all the lesser limiting labels or gods that we put on ourselves, we recognize that there is a family that we are all part of called God, and we are all offspring of that one infinite source. In the same way that you may get upset when someone else calls you out of your name, right? When somebody calls you out of your name, you get mad, right? But how about when you call yourself out of your own name? How about when you call yourself out of your own name? I'm going to repeat that. In the same way that you get upset when someone calls you out of your name. I remember first time I was called a nigga, right? Somebody called me out of my name. But guess what? How about when you call yourself out of your own name? When you use other people's logos and names to represent who you are? When you use false or lesser than identities to define who you are calling yourself out of your own name. Do you get just as mad when you call yourself out of your own name? We must know our last name because it is only from that place that we can accept our responsibility as gods to bring heaven on earth and our divine inheritance that comes with that. If we forget our last name or call ourselves out of our true last name, we are cutting ourselves off from the one true power that creates all change. We are instruments being breathed through by God. But there are so many blockages and false identities we create that prevent God from using us at the highest level possible. First, we must pray for the release of our egoic self. This is why Jesus says, "Whoever shall save his life shall lose it, and whoever shall lose his life for my sake shall save it." Matthew 16:25. The false personas or personalities we create become our God instead of just allowing God to be our God. Second, we must pray for a change in our being, not our doing or having. You can judge a tree with your eyes by its fruits, but its identity lies in its unseen roots. What identity are you rooted in? Anything not rooted in truth will be uprooted when the wind blows this way or that. We are eternal spiritual beings having a temporary human experience. Our gender, race, nationality, sexuality, political party, class, education levels. Oh my goodness, another call came in. Instagram, can you hear me? Another call came in. Instagram, can you hear me? Please say that y'all can hear me. Instagram, can y'all hear me? Dang. All right, I'm gonna have to learn that do not disturb feature. IG, can you hear me? It's freezing. Oh my goodness, y'all. Gotta start over. Why everybody want to call right now? Okay. Oh man. IG. All right, I'm gonna have to figure out that do not disturb feature for phone calls tomorrow. For those of you on YouTube, apologies. We had 100 people on IG, so I want to make sure that they get back on and they don't miss this. But the full recording will be on YouTube. The unbroken recording will be on YouTube. All my IG folks, the unbroken recording will be on YouTube. Apologies, another phone call came in, so I'm gonna have to figure out the do not disturb feature for tomorrow. We're almost done. We got 2 more paragraphs left, y'all. 2 more paragraphs left. Okay. 1 second. All right. Come on, phone. Pray that no more phone calls. Can y'all pray with me that no more phone calls come through? You still can't hear me? Dang. Sorry about this, y'all. No audio. That's crazy. All right. I'm going to try one more time. Otherwise, we're just going to finish on YouTube. We might have to switch over to YouTube going forward because this is crazy. IG trying to stop us from being great. Okay. Thank you for your patience, YouTube. I appreciate y'all. Oh, we're going to get back into it. IG is going to have to catch up. Okay. So we are eternal spiritual beings having a temporary human experience. Our gender, race, nationality, sexuality, political party, class, education levels, and professions are all temporary. Child of God or God with the lowercase g is your only true identity. Some people seek to become independent of their mother, father, God through money. They are materially rich but spiritually poor, which means that they have made money their God and seek to gain as much as possible to squeeze God out of the equation. They believe that with enough money, they can buy their way out of or into anything. This is no different than when people come into wealth and move as far away as possible from where they are from. Matthew 6:19 reads, "Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal." I have to disagree with the Wu-Tang Clan's acronym for CREAM, that cash rules everything around me. I disagree. God is my ruler, and its love cannot be measured, and my mind is a part of God's mind. There is no separation between you and God, but we are taught to diminish our divinity, even though spiritual teachers like Jesus himself said, "Is it not written in your law, I have said, ye are gods." John 10:34. Abundance is your birthright, and the day of the rich and righteous is upon us. We must create a United States of abundance together. Abundance is your birthright, and the day of the rich and righteous is upon us, and we must create a united state of abundance together. Boop. All done. Apologies to everybody on IG. I had some phone calls come in, and when I deny them, for whatever reason, the audio goes out on IG. But thank you for continue to pull up and come back. We are on YouTube as well. Thank you for all my YouTubers for the patience you had while I was dealing with that. But that is the word for the day. That is the word for the day. This is about understanding who you are as a God on earth, lowercase g. Religion will tell you that that's blasphemous, but if I'm a child of God, then I'm a God. So as crazy as Kanye sounds sometimes when he said, "I am a God," and people laughed at him, it's actually there in scripture that you are a God. And many of us are afraid to step into that identity. It's actually easier for us to accept an identity of I'm a sinner and I need somebody to save me. And this is part of the reason why we stay in poverty consciousness. Because if your baseline identity rooted by religion is that you are a sinner, that's going to be a tough climb. I'm a lowly sinner. Please save a wretch like me. Just listen to the music. Save a wretch like me. God does not create wretches. God does not create sinners. Here we have this perfect creator making broken products. How do we go from a perfect creator making broken products? First round, Adam and Eve, the perfect creator effed up. The perfect creator effed up on the first round. We didn't even get multiple generations. It had defects in the first round. This perfect creator. So we have this language for God being perfect and divine and almighty, Alpha and Omega, but for some reason, it makes imperfect creations. If my daughter is struggling with math or my daughter is struggling with reading, that is not her fault. As the individual or a pair of individuals that she came through, that's our responsibility. I wouldn't blame my daughter for not being able to read. I wouldn't blame my daughter for not knowing how to do math. I would blame myself. But somehow this story has got twisted where this perfect creator creates this imperfect creations, and these imperfect creations are the ones to blame for their imperfection by this perfect creator. What? When they throw God into anything, for some reason, logic just leaves our minds. But if you just think about that, it makes no sense. You are a child of God. That is what you are. You are a child of God, and abundance is your birthright. And if I can root those two identities into you over our time here, I'm certain that the trajectory of abundance, including financial, okay, abundance is not just money, that the trajectory of abundance will flourish in your life. So that is what we are here to do. And we're going to be reading Rich and Righteous, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every weekday, okay? So set a phone alarm. We're here on IG and on YouTube. So if IG ever cuts out again, come join me on YouTube, okay? If IG ever cuts out again, join us on YouTube. And if you'd like to get the book, you can go to moneyandmanifestation.com. That's moneyandmanifestation.com. It's $100. Yes, it's $100, but you get 5 copies. Okay, and one is for you. The other 4 are for you to give away. This is how you stimulate your personal economy. You start by giving. A lot of people are waiting to receive to stimulate their economy. No, you give, and you are always in a position of giving. And you can only give when you're in a state of abundance. If you feel like you lack, then you're not in a state of giving. You don't want to give anything because you feel like what I have is lack and scarcity. But if you're giving, that already means that you're in a state of abundance. And so I'm literally trying to stimulate your personal economy by giving you 4 additional books in order to give away. All right. So again, that's moneyandmanifestation.com. What's going on, Scoop? I see you. That's moneyandmanifestation.com, moneyandmanifestation.com. We'll be back here tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. So set a phone alarm. It's almost 300 of us here today. All right. If you notice, the community keeps growing and growing and growing. This is a beautiful thing. And just to show you that this was just me moving in alignment. Spirit woke me up one day, said, Jullien, read your book aloud. I was like, okay. So I just started reading, and then I set a time, and I just made the commitment. And based on the power that I see coming through the chats, based on some DMs that I'm getting from you, how this is changing your life already, and we're just now getting started. We're not even in commandment number 1 yet. I know that this is going to be powerful. I expect there to be thousands of us by the time we are done with this, and I'm excited about that. So again, thank you everybody who purchased the book. It is not required that you purchase the book to participate in this. Okay, this is just off the love, off the strength. But you having the physical book and getting the additional copies is really an experiment and an exercise to stimulate your personal economy. As you have money breakthroughs and abundance breakthroughs, not just money. As you have breakthroughs throughout this journey, please share them with me via DM. Okay, just DM me on Instagram. If you have, when you have money breakthroughs throughout this journey, whether that's a pay increase, whether that's finding some money, whether that's an inheritance that comes through, whether that's you closing on a multifamily property, whether your business blows up, whether your student loans get forgiven, anything like that that comes up that you did not expect, but because your identity and your mindset has shifted, please share those wins with me, and I'll start sharing those here with the family as they come in to just to show that what we're doing is working. Okay. Love y'all. I wish y'all a great and abundant day. I'll see you tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Eastern. We are started. We'll be on page 42. And this one is real, y'all. Being poor is sin, but poverty is not. What? Being poor is sin, but poverty is not. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. All right. So again, that's moneyandmanifestation.com, moneyandmanifestation.com. See you 8:30 tomorrow. Salute. Peace.